You know, every office, whether it's a massive skyscraper or just your spare bedroom, it runs on a kind of shared language. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that hidden operating system. We're talking about the blueprint of words and ideas that really makes the modern workplace, well, work.
I mean, have you ever really thought about it? What makes it all tick? It's way more than just people sitting at desks. It's this whole ecosystem of concepts that lets us all work together. And getting a handle on this language, it's not just about sounding smart in meetings. It's about understanding the mechanics of how work actually gets done. So, let's start where all the action begins. Before a single email gets sent, before any deal gets closed, we have to start in the physical world with your personal command center.
And at the very core of it all is this basic toolkit. Your desk, that's your launchpad. And the computer, with its screen, keyboard, and mouse, that's your main doorway to the entire digital universe. These aren't just gadgets. They're basically a physical extension of you at work. They're the bridge between your ideas and what you actually create.
And look, even though our world is getting more and more digital by the second, we still need these bridges back to the physical world. The printer is what magically turns pixels on a screen back into paper you can hold. And the telephone, even though it often lives inside our software now, is still the undisputed champ of having a real, live conversation.
Okay, so we've got the hardware down. Let's move on to what all this hardware is for: managing information. And this, right here, is where we see the biggest evolution in the modern office. We're talking about that huge shift from analog to digital.
This slide just lays it out perfectly. What used to be stacks of actual paper we'd shuffle around has become this invisible thing called data. And that physical file folder, now it's a digital container for information. The job is still the same: store and organize stuff, but the way we do it has completely changed.
And that's exactly why the word file has stuck around for so long. Think about it. Whether it's a cardboard folder or an icon on your desktop, it stands for the same basic human impulse. We need to group related things together. It's a concept that just sailed right over that analog to digital divide.
But hey, all the tools and data in the world are pretty useless without the people who actually use them. So now let's pivot from the what to the who, the human network of people and departments that make up the backbone of any organization. If you rewind the clock a bit, organization was often centered on one key person, the secretary, and their main tool, the agenda. It was a way to bring order to chaos, to manage time itself. Now, that fundamental need to manage things hasn't gone away. It's just gotten a lot more specialized.
So today, that support role has blossomed into entire departments. But you can really boil it down to two huge pillars. You've got human resources, or HR, and they manage the people from the day they're hired to the day they retire. And then you've got finance, who, you guessed it, manages the money. It's that simple. One manages talent, the other manages treasure. All right, let's zoom in on that financial lifeline for a minute, because honestly, understanding how money moves through a company is so important. It's literally the energy that powers every single thing that happens. The journey itself is a pretty simple and essential loop. It all kicks off with an invoice, which is just a formal request for payment. That invoice gets recorded by accounting, which puts it in the official books. That triggers the actual payment. And for most of us, the most important stop on this whole journey is our salary. Okay, we've covered the physical space, the information, and the people. Now for the final and most abstract layer, the invisible digital brain that powers the entire modern office.
So where does this digital brain even begin? It all starts with data. The best way to think about it is like raw ingredients: a name, a number, a date. By themselves, they're just little fragments. But when you put them together, that's when they become the building blocks for, well, everything.
So how do you take all that chaotic, raw data and make sense of it? You give it a home, you give it structure, you organize it into a database. A database is really just the office's giant, super organized digital library, built to find any little piece of information in a split second. But a database by itself is just storage. To actually unlock its power, we need software, the programs and apps that let us interact with all that data. And when you combine the software with the hardware, and most importantly, with the people and the processes, that's when you get a system. A system is the whole engine, the whole shebang that turns raw data into meaningful action.
And that's our journey. We've gone from the solid reality of a desk all the way to the abstract power of a digital system. You now have the vocabulary to see the invisible structures that shape how work gets done every single day. But I want to leave you with one final thought. With everything changing so fast, with AI and remote teams becoming the norm, which of these words we've talked about today do you think is on the chopping block? Which one is next to become obsolete? Will it be the desk? The office itself? It's something to think about because the language of work is always evolving.